So today is the first day that I am going to rue one of my sheep, and I'm going to be ruing Septima. She's a lamb. She's one of my more friendly ones. And what I have her card here because I probably want to talk about the micron information as I'm doing it. I also have the index card, her name, the year, and her ear tag number, and that's going to go in the plastic bag with all the wool that I rue from her today. So I'm all prepped and ready to go. I've got my aluminum stand. I'm going to go get my head piece to hold her up here, and there's also side panels I'm going to install, and then we'll get to work. Okay, so I've got her up on the stand, and she's never been on the stand, so she's a little bit uncomfortable right now. But eventually she'll get used to it and it'll be fine. Keep rubbing her little chest the way she likes it. I'm going to be taking off the coat, and I'm only going to rue the wool that's under the coat. So I'll just work at this for a while. So she has some wool left on her. Sometimes I'll rue the sheep and the wool will be right down to the skin that's coming off, which is always kind of weird. And I think a lot of people think that they've got like a lice affliction or something, but it isn't. It's just that the break is right next to the skin. Okay, honey? I'm trying as much as I can to keep it all in one piece rather than pulling out pieces at a time. That's just because it's nicer for processing to have the lock structure intact. So that takes a little extra doing.
So this is Rich. Just a few comments on what we're expecting out of this fleece. So looking at the chart, we've got a AFD of 21.3. Again, this is a yearling. She was born last year. So that's in line with what we would expect for a yearling. Her coefficient of variation, CV, is 22.9. Her coarse edge mean, or CEM, is 8.2, which again is about where we like it. Comfort factor of 97.2, which is right in range for what we normally get for yearlings. If not a little bit low. You'd like to be as close to 100% as you can, because then it gives you 100% of the fibers less than 30 microns, which is kind of the threshold for scratchiness. Let's see, SF 21.1, which again is good. You always want the SF, or the spinning fineness, to be less than your AFD. And then our CRV, which is the crimp, is 116.6, which is very good. Depending on what there's really not a good and a bad, it's just a difference. We like it as high as possible, over 100, because that's a smaller, more organized crimp, more elastic yarn comes out of that. So that's what we like. That doesn't necessarily mean that all Shetlands need to be that way. So those are the most relevant stats. Not exactly sure what color she is. She's Morat, but she almost looks modified. But I would say she's Morat, at least at this point. sometimes they turn color later.
She's one of the ones that she came out of 2 black-based parents. So kind of, she's got the 2 recessive browns to be a solid brown. Right, sweetie?
So her father was Rush. He was a black and white spotted ram, and her mother's Area, which is, she was black, out of Genoa. We have had some modified colors coming out of Genoa in the past. So that's why it makes me wonder. It's more taupey in color than maybe, you would expect, or more, but.
Normally I rue pulling. I'm ruing pushing, but that's just for the benefit of the camera. So pretty soon here I'll start working a little bit differently. It's coming off really good. I like that there's some wool left on here because it's early April, probably in the low 40s right now, so there's enough there to keep her nicely insulated. All right, so I'm hitting some hay flex now, so I think I'm at the point where it's okay. I'm just gonna hang it over this thing. So what'll be is half a fleece. So if I sell this fleece, it'll be sold as 2 halves, because I'm gonna take it from the back and work down. Shot of what the break looks like. So weak. You doing okay? See, the root fleece is so much nicer. You get the full staple length. No clipper marks. I might put this thing back up just to hang the fleece over so she doesn't step on it. Easier off the back. Different parts of it is easier than others. I'm going to take my coat off. Greasy and nice my hands are. It was awesome. So good, my pretty girl. Good W. And then I'm getting stop there. I'm starting to get bits of hay, so I think I'm past the point where the coat's starting to protect the wool. Doing a good job, girl. Looks so nice. I just love what they look like out on. I should stop talking because every time I talk, they just look so nice and smooth. They don't have all that clipper stuff. You're a smart girl, aren't ya? You're a smart girl. I just bought this stand last year. We haven't really used it that much. So last year I root them on the ground and then wrecked the fleeces for some of them because they got twisted up in them and stuff. So this is actually working out better. She likes it right here. Likes her cheeks to get rubbed, don't you, sweet girl? Starting to feel bits of hay, so I think I'm at the bottom here. This is cool too because I don't have to skirt. If I'm just picking the wool off that's under the coat. It's like an automatic skirting. There we go. Side number 1. Done and dusted. Oops. Okay. This in the bag. Oh, beauty. Better. Oh, doesn't that look good? How's that feel? Okay, let's get the other side done. We'll put the coat back on. Good girl, thank you so much. You're so soft. This feels so lovely. What did you say the fiber numbers were again?
The AFD was 21.3, the SF was 21.1, the comfort factor was 97.2.
Oh, my girl.
Those are the things that are most directly tied to how soft it feels,
Oh, okay.
other than the scales, which you can't measure.
So the neck and the bridge I'll use in my mill spun stuff. Neck I'll probably process a little of that myself, but I want to leave that on so that when she goes back in with the rest of the girls, she still smells the same and looks the same, and that way she won't get harassed or bullied at all, because they do tend to do that when they go back in. I think they're totally different appearing and smelling, and she's going to smell different from this and the coat than she would if she went in just with nothing. I don't know if that makes any sense. The older girls have a couple of the ones I'm going to rue. They rue bald. And like I said, it is really disturbing to see, but it comes back. She's ruined kind of. She's got a little bit of fiber left on her. They're easier when it comes off them, but they're bald. It just peels right off. In huge chunks. This is a little bit of effort, but not too much. She does have a little flex of some dander. It might impact my decision to sell this as a raw fleece, but it's not too bad. It's really typical Shetland fleece. I don't think I've ever seen. I don't see very many fleeces from them. Don't have the dander on them. A little bit, right, hon? Oh, good. Yeah. I don't know how long I've been at this. That's probably, what, 40 minutes? I guess I'm watching the video timer. Takes some time, but it's so worth it. Getting there. Getting there, my little beauty. I kind of hold the skin and pull so it gives me some resistance. And again, I'm putting a lot of effort into making sure that it's all one piece. I've seen videos of people rooing and they'll take off lock at a time, which is fine if you're going to send it to the mill. But I intend to offer as many fleeces raw, intact like this as possible. So I'm putting effort into making sure it's all one piece. And I'm getting down to the belly here, so I'm going to probably stop right there and start to feel the bits of hay. I change arms every so often because my hands get tired. Scooch over a little, okay. So what I'm going to do is complete everybody's fleece. I'm going to rue everybody and then evaluate the fleeces, get weights, make up scorecards for them all. And then I will post them on the website and send an email to anybody who is on my subscriber list, notifying them that the fleeces have been posted to the site. Which I don't expect to have all that done until first week of May. I think I'm getting into the bridge now, so I'm going to stop there. What do you think? Look what you made. What you did, you pretty girl. Thank you. It's beautiful. Oh, I'm so happy. That was really good. Thank you. Okay, let's get your coat back on. You can go back out with all your friends. Or we can have a snuggle time if you like. Okay, what do you say? So you see, I'm gonna put the coat on and nobody's gonna know any of the difference. Other than it's gonna be a little bit looser, but it'll stay on because the wool on the top and the bottom are holding it there. Oh, my good girl. Set to go. Are you done? Such a beauty. So kitty. Go out with your friends now? See, nobody even knows the difference. Where did she go? There she is. See, normally they'd be all milling around her and bothering her, but no big whoop. So those coats are awesome. Of course, Circe's noticing a little something. She's really smart. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm here with my friend Karen. And one thing I've been struggling with, as you know, is trying to use my Turkish spindle. I can spin on it, but I struggle getting the little pins out after I'm done. And Karen had mentioned on one of her comments that she's been doing a lot of Turkish spindling. So I recruited her to kind of help us learn by listening to her experience as a new spindler and then getting more seasoned with it. So thank you, Karen, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I hope I don't mess anybody up.
No, it's really like I try to preface every time I'm showing people stuff. It's how I do it. So I would never be so bold as to say, here's how you do this, right?
Right.
So I just, I think we'd benefit from just your experience and what you've learned over the time you've been Turkish spindling. So why don't you go ahead and just kind of talk about your journey?
So I had started spinning with the top whirl, I don't know, a few years ago, didn't do it much. And then just decided to, after watching people's blogs on YouTube, that it would be fun to try a Turkish spindle. So and this was in mid-January. So I've been using that exclusively since mid-January and feel like I've learned a lot, and I'm still like right now I'm starting to do new things. There's always something new. So I don't know, the first time I got one, I got my first one in the mail and it's in pieces, right? And I know, okay, well, you put it together. I'm going to use this one. The arms go together and the stick goes in it, but then it looks simple. So the first thing that I did was try to figure out like how to get the arms together, and there's a hole in the center, and then getting that to kind of stay put so that you can take the shaft and poke it through. And the first thing I did, I don't know how the magic craft is, but it's kind of hard to just look at this spindle and see, as opposed to this one, which is very definitely skinny end on top, fat end on the bottom.
I see. Right? So the magic craft one has got a little bushing or something, I guess. I don't know. There's like a little thing it's got. And the struggle I've had is that the fiber gets caught on that.
So yeah, this one's kind of got a little finial up there. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. So, but I don't know, you get this new thing and you've never watched anybody put it together. So you just think you know what to do, right? So let me show you on this one, just so I can show two different ones because they're all different. They're all sort of the same, but they're all a little bit different. So this goes in like this. And so the first thing I do, of course, is try to put the wrong end in and go, oh, I guess I need to put the other end in. So I pop the other end in, and I didn't realize that you need to snug this up a little bit so that when you're doing stuff with it, it doesn't fall apart. So the first thing that happens is I'm trying to figure out how to use a piece of yarn and somehow do a leader. Because when I do the top whirl, I make a little slip knot, put it on the hook, kind of get some twist in it, put it down on the shaft and kind of wind it on, and then put the twist in and get my fiber going on this. That's how I had done it. So, I tried to do that with this, and the first thing that happened, I'm going to do this over my lap, is I'm spinning it. I've got it snugged up a little bit. Is I'm spinning it, and it's all spinning around. It's like it's not supposed to. Can you see that? It's all loose. So if you take the arms and just snug it up a little bit, it becomes a unit.
I see. Okay. So mine, with the Magic Craft, it's got flats. Okay. And then the, whatever these are called, the stick thingies are square here.
Okay.
And so they don't swirl around. So what you're saying is that they spin if you don't have it hand tight?
Yeah. And I didn't try it with this one because this was my second one, I knew to do it. But with this one, the first day, I didn't know what to do with it. And I also spent, just to let everybody know, I had never handled one. The first day was very emotional. There were tears. There was some swearing. There was some, I can't wait to just pack this back off. But I just kept at it. And it didn't help that the first fiber that I had wasn't nice and stretchy and easy to use like yours is. Anyway, I persevered and ended up with this one, which is a little bit lighter than that one. So I guess the next thing would be, how do you get fiber started? And you can well, let me just start with this. Okay, so one method that I've seen people do recently is rather than doing the slip knot thing, which you can do, you can take a slip knot and like put it around the stick at the bottom and then bring it up and twirl it. But the thing that I'm doing now that I kind of like is to take the end of, if you're going to start it with regular yarn, let's do it this way first, because some people might like to do it first this way. Take that, poke it through the center holes.
Oh, okay.
So I've got it coming through the center.
Oh,
right?
That's a good idea.
And you know, sometimes I leave it a little long. It doesn't really matter if it's kind of up, then that's fine. And then you take your shaft and you pop it up, and you see they've slipped.
No, but I get it.
Keep the holes lined up. Yeah. So there you go with that. And then what you do is you can either take it like this. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to do it like this. If you want to get some twist into it this way, you can take it like that. It's awkward, but you can spin it like that and then get your twist in it and then take it up between the arms and do your half hitch.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Okay, so you've got this. You can do the slip knot, but this is just to me a lot more secure. And that way, when you take this out to get your ball out, the stick just kind of comes out like that. And then when you take the little skinny arm out, it's going to pull that out, and that's going to be the center pull.
Your leader. Oh my gosh.
That's going to be the center pull. I'll show you how to do it with the fiber first, but here is a ball, a round ball, and you see how firm this is?
Yeah.
It was a lot firmer to do this than to do the God's Eye, which is what I started with first. And I'm not going to demo that right now just because I feel like for beginners, this is probably going to be easier. I'm going to demo how to do that. But see, here's my little, yarn pull ball. And so you've got a double pull ball, which is nice, which is one of the attractions of doing the Turkish spindle. Now, alternately, you can do the same thing with fiber. Let me make sure I'm going in the right direction.
So I didn't prepare with yarn, so all I have is this roving.
Right.
So.
Okay. So this is maybe a little fiddly, but with your yarn, it's because it's just so nice. Okay. So what you're going to do is draft out and kind of, can you see me?
Yep, I'm doing it too, right? Twisting it a little.
Twisting it a little bit, and we're going to do the same thing. So kind of get it twisty, and I'm going to try to go out and get it a little twisty on the end here. And then you will do the same thing, which is to poke it. And this gets a little fiddly because you're working with fiber, right?
Yeah.
And so if you cannot, which this morning it worked, right now it's not going to work. So if
we're going to get it to.
Okay, if it doesn't work, this is my go-to. I get a little crochet hook.
Oh, okay.
And you can pop it in and just kind of grab it and pull it through.
So I've got my roving and then I got my string. So which side am I sticking my stick through?
The same way that we did, just like you put it up through the bottom.
Like this?
Uh-huh. And so now you have, instead of that yarn that we had a minute ago, you have a little thing of the fiber.
Okay.
You don't have to pull it up that high.
That's right.
Because I'm going to do the same thing that I did before, which is turn it like this.
Well, it's one thing to hear you do it, but it's another thing for me to do it with you. Now it's throwing me off. Okay. All right. So then what?
Okay. Now I'm going to get some twist in this by hand. So I'm kind of, rotating it to get some twist in it. And it takes a little bit, and I'm doing it over my lap. So let's see if I've got enough in here to. I'm going to put this.
How am I doing?
Yeah, gradually you're going to be able to hold it. It's going to be able to hold itself.
Uh-huh.
Now this one may not do it. It honestly, this is a little fiddly.
I don't care. I like it.
Okay. See, I just dropped my spindle. Let me see if I can get it going again. As things happen, I did this morning, right? And it worked. And of course, now it's gonna go.
I think you're awesome. Look at me. me. Look at me. How's that?
Beginner's luck. Look at you. You can teach the class.
And then
So
what? Okay, then
you're going to bring it up. Yep. And you're going to do it just like we did it before. So let me see if I can catch up with you. Do your little half hitch. And for anybody, do you know how to do a half hitch?
No, tell us.
Okay. All right. I'll demo that when I get up. Okay. So don't watch me. I just licked my finger, which is horrible. I'm sure people are gasping. Okay. Let's see if this works.
There's no haters out there. It's a loving community.
They're like, yeah, I do that too. It's like quilters spit on their fingers all the time.
Do they?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We do a lot of stuff with spit. And I'm just going to try to like not freak out and get, because it's not going in really, really easily.
That's all right. I can always edit this too, so don't forget about
But
that.
anything that I'm doing is going to happen to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So let me get the crochet hook and see if we can get this convinced that it wants to go in. Okay. So what I'm actually I think I'll just do it like this, like I did before. Okay.
Look at me.
You are going to town. Look at you. That's great.
The only thing I want to ask you about is now I got that starter bit down there, right?
Yeah. You can either just like pull it off, not so that it's not going to be,
okay.
It's not going to be so. And that's another thing when you're doing your leader. Like I'm starting this, I try to start it a little thicker than I'm going to want the actual yarn to be. So here's what I've got one going now. So now I'm going to like draft out a little bit, and I kind of park and draft this just because I try to be careful. I've got too much twist and it's catching the fibers. I'm having to kind of fight with that. Hang on.
Yeah, I've got about 20 years of spinning on you, so.
And I've got 2 months with this. And also, it's so weird because the fiber that I first started spinning with this year when I first started taking this back up is a commercial yarn that I will never buy again. It's long staple, no crimp, no spring, and I've just had a heck of a time trying to draft it.
Mm-hmm.
And then going from that to yours and then going back to theirs, and I'm just like, oh, I don't like it. I'm going to get this just a tiny tad longer. Okay. Now,
so let me just say one thing, Karen. The biggest problem I've had is I can never get the sticks out after I make the ball. So I'm really excited to learn from you how to wrap it so that I can pull out the sticky thingies.
Okay, so we'll get there in a second. So half hitch. So I've got my yarn, and I'm gonna hold the fiber kind of like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna take my thumb, and I'm gonna kind of rotate my thumb like away from me, so that it looks like this. I'm gonna scoop my thumb and catch, so it's kind of halfway wrapped around my thumb. And then I'm gonna take the stick, and I'm going to put it through that little kind of circle that I've made.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep. I'm kind of trying to keep it loose. Sometimes I end up securing it with this, but the basis is...
Yeah, and it's hard too because you're trying to keep it in the center of the screen, and you're probably not... There you go.
So there you go. This one has got a little notch up there. Most of them, I think, have got a little notch. Then that's where the half hitch will sit. And then you just set that in motion and start drafting out. And you can do it sitting. And if you so I'm going to get it going again. So I just come down and take it like this and just flick it. And it starts spinning. And you draft out and let the twist get in to the fiber, and you go out as much as you want to. I can do this like this, and when it gets down to the carpet, I'll pull it up. So when you're ready to stop, okay. The butterfly puzzled me at first. So I've got it pinched in my index finger and my thumb.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to kind of transfer it to where I've got it held in between these fingers, because it's easier for me to do. Everybody does it different. The idea being, I've got the fiber here, and I've pinched this off, so I can kind of let go of it a little bit and not lose the twist, and then get it here, and now I'm ready to butterfly it.
How am I? How do I look?
I think you look fine. Right? Yeah. Okay. So let me see, let me do it. Okay. Now this is another thing that is just like, at first you're like, I have no idea what she's doing. So I've got it between first and second fingers, and I've run it around my thumb.
Got it.
And so then what I'm going to do is take it between my middle finger and my ring finger.
Middle finger and ring finger. Okay.
So it's going across my palm, and it's going around the thumb, and now it's going between the middle finger and the ring finger.
Yep.
I'm going to wind it around the ring finger, back around the thumb.
Oh my God. Okay.
And then back to the between the ring finger and the middle finger.
Okay.
And then back over the thumb. And you do that as many times as you need to do it, to get it short enough that you can then pop the half hitch. I don't know how deep that is, but with this one, I can just take my finger. If you just want to look at it, I'm holding the shaft, and I can just use my index finger and pop that off.
Okay.
Some of them are a little different. Okay, so now I have my fiber. Did you break your fiber?
Yeah.
That happens.
Wah. All right, keep going. I'm watching.
Okay, so I'm holding the spindle by the stick, and I've got my hand, with my fiber that I need to transfer onto the spindle over here. So again, I'm going to make sure that I'm kind of holding my fiber supply so that it's kind of out of the way. I've got it in here. And now I'm going to start winding. So the difference between the ball wind and the God's eye is you don't go under you don't do the two over two under one. I'm just going to wrap around two arms. And I'm starting to where the yarn is right up against the stick, and then I kind of wrap and kind of go out. So you're just wrapping around two arms.
So over two, under two then?
These two arms right here.
Yeah.
You're just going over and you're just wrapping them. Yeah. It's just
those two.
Just those two. And then when you get down to the point where it's short enough to make another leader, like this, then you do the same sort of thing. It's a little bit harder. Let me wrap this a couple of times more. Okay, so this is pretty good. Actually, let me make it a little bit shorter. And at this point, I guess the first wrap, I kind of go out quarter to a half an inch. There's no right or wrong way. That's just sort of how I start. Right. So then you're going to go and do the half hitch again. So you're going to take the thumb. You're going to go across, wrap it under, and make that little loop.
Yeah.
And then stick the stick in. I also kind of hang on to things a little bit so that it doesn't pop off while I'm pulling it. You'll get to the point where you just do it. That looks good.
Okay.
And then
Karen, what I did with the broken thing, I just tied it to it. I just set it down and tied it, and it seems like it's working fine.
Yeah. Anything really, especially when you're starting. It's
and
like,
who cares about the beginning part of the skein anyway?
Yeah, this is learning. Just remind yourself that the people that you see on the blogs, unless you're looking at people like me, have been doing it for a long time. I suggest doing this over a rug or carpet. So, same thing. You're just going to get it going. Make sure you're not drafting so fast that the twist doesn't make it into the fiber, and then the fiber just floats apart, right?
Yeah. I'm using a real junky roving that I got a long time ago. Because I don't know, I probably should try new things with better stuff, but I'm kind of almost out of wool right now. So
also, when you start doing it, I was like, I have to really flick that thing and it's going to get going. And you don't have to. I would say kind of start gentle and just give it and let it be slow. So I'm going to just kind of get this down. It's hanging. and I'm holding my arm up to reach the spindle to flick it. And I'm drafting out, and I'm kind of watching the spindle with the corner of my eye.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just let it go down as far as you want to. Okay, so I'm gonna stop. So I've got my arm up here, and I get the spindle, right? So now I have this, and I'm gonna do the butterfly. So I'm gonna hold my fiber supply.
All right, I got a question. Why do I have to do the butterfly? Why can't I just wrap it?
Okay, all right, good point. If you don't have, okay, so right now I have what would be inconvenient length for me to do it. But at first, if you don't want to go out like, get as much yarn, it's a lot easier to do that. So let's see if I can do it. All right, I'm going to flick my half hitch off. And now you need to keep your yarn under tension, not like really like pulling it, but under tension. And while I do this, and let me get a little bit shorter, and I'll show you how you switch arms. Okay, so I'm still going around. I'm still going around those two arms. Okay, when you get it out.
You said you still go around the two arms that you did the last time?
I am right now. Now you don't have to. I just thought I would start there where we left off. Now I'm going to turn it. So you turn it and go around two arms. So you're turning it again, kind of like you did it traditionally. No, hang on a second. Hang on. Maybe not. All right. Do you see the top arm here? Like where the yarn is, and you see how that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it until it starts crossing there. So I guess that's like the next arm over from where you're ending. If you do it from the beginning, you're going to go over two.
Okay, so hang on. So it's like you're shifting your wrap over two sticks by 45 degrees.
Right.
Right? So you're just going to grab the next stick and then start wrapping those two. That stick and the, okay.
Yep. So you're going to do the same thing. You're just kind of going around in a circle. And when I get a little bit more here, it'll be easier to see. So again, so you don't have to do the butterfly. It's nice. So let me show you. Can you see the bottom? So that's what it looks like on the bottom, and that's what it looks like on the top.
Okay.
And
so I'm going to do it, and I'm going to ask you, how does mine look? So I just moved over one arm, and then
let me see the top. Let me see the top.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, really, honestly, as long as you're going around consistently, I don't think it really matters. And then if you wanted to turn it again, you do the same thing. So you're going to kind of keep going around like that. Sometimes I get going and I find that I need to stop the spindle so that I can catch up or something. You can take this and you can spin it just like you do a top spindle, and you can stop it. And then what I do is I set it in my lap. Okay. This will spin if you don't let like two arms like rest against something so that it'll stop the spinning. If you bounce it on your lap and it's on the point of the stick, it's going to turn. So I'm usually wearing jeans, so I found that I can just let it sit between my legs and keep tension on the fiber so that I'm not losing the twist, right? But it's setting. It's not going anywhere on my lap. And then I can kind of catch up. Like if I have a lot of twist in this and I needed to stop and kind of, draft out a little bit and catch up, I can do that. And then I can start spinning again. When I have it lower, I will literally let it drop and then do this. I'll have it resting against my leg, which it's not going to do right now, so that the two arms are almost hugging my leg. Like goes around, so it's keeping it secure. It's kind of like if I was doing this against my arm. So that's another way that you can, like, if you're going to park and draft, which I do sometimes, and I did it more when I was first learning how to do this. That's another way that you can do it, and it won't go anywhere. So yeah, so you just kind of keep going around, and you're going to, each time you go around, you're going to go further out. So what I typically do, let me see if I can get to the point where I'm starting to rewrap. And you see the little sticky outy part that we pulled through? It's kind of waving around in there. I just wrap over it.
Mine's gone.
Yeah. You can either pull it off or just wrap over it. So I'm going to get myself to the point, and I just rotated it again, just like we have been doing. And when you get back to the beginning, I start wrapping the same way, up against the shaft and then out toward the outside part of your arms. And I go until I've kind of reached the edge of that previous wrap, or maybe just a tiny tad, beyond it. And then I will turn it so that each time I make that circle back to the beginning, I'm going out further. Does that make sense? So you got to layer. I've gotten myself back to where I've started, to the previous point. So now
in your wrapping, you mean?
In my wrapping, and I'm going to wrap the next layer. So you're going to do the same thing with this. You're going to wrap around those same two arms. Yeah. And you're going to start just like you did before, wrapping your first wraps close to the shaft, and then wrapping outwards, kind of just spiraling along and laying the yarn kind of, along its neighbor. And it doesn't end up it doesn't have to be this neat eventually, but right now I think it's easier to teach. And then when I get out to the edge of wherever these two little, you're going to end up with kind of an indentation. And whenever I wrap out to that point is the next time I will turn. So you're gradually coming back again and again and layering. So say you wrapped out to here, the next time you're going to wrap out a little further, the next time you're going to wrap out a little further. So you're going to kind of end up building a little fat kind of turtle. And you're going to...
So that might be why I'm having problems pulling my shaft out, because I've always wrapped right up against the shaft. And what you're saying is I need to wrap out more on the outside.
You need to start in the middle and then wrap out.
Each time you're wrapping.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're going to end up wrapping a certain width. And then each time you do it, you're going to make that, you're going to go further out. Kind of like when you're doing center pull ball and you're wrapping it like on a toilet paper roll, which is what I do. Each kind of successive wrap, you end up with that hole kind of having a little bit of structure so that you can then pull out the ball and it's not just a big loose wad. So it's kind of that kind of principle. And it sounds complicated, but really, honestly, you're just wrapping and wrapping until you get to the very edge of what you wrapped the next time, and then you turn. And so each time you turn, you're going to be wrapping further out toward the edges of the arm. And then as you get, and that's one reason why the video will probably be helpful, because she does kind of take you through some changes in order to kind of keep the turtle structured so that it's going to be a good foundation for the round ball. What she ends up doing, and we're not going to have time, I don't think, here, because, it's going to take a little bit of time, is she said, before you start actually wrapping the round ball, you kind of want to have a nice square foundation so that the ball holds together. So this, I swear, your wool just practically drafts itself.
I always think talk about it like it feels like I'm drafting chewing gum.
Yeah, or taffy. I use butter because it's soft like that, but butter doesn't have the structure. So, but yeah, no, it's just, and you get spoiled because then you go like I'm doing and trying to, spin with that commercial fiber that is like the complete opposite of this. Oh, nice. So I'm gonna try to wrap to the point where I can show you a little more clearly how I'm layering.
All right, so I'm wrapping it and I'm kind of like going, this is like going over the two, but I'm doing it like I'm trying to make it so that each wrap is on the wood. Is that what you told me to do? Yeah,
snug it up next to its neighbor, and then when you get...
I'm doing kind of like a wraps per inch tool, right? Like when you're wrapping it on one of those?
Yeah. Now, when you're wrapping over like the previous wrap, you kind of, do the best you can, and then layer out in a single layer as best you can. That's how I do it, so that it kind of...
top of the prior one?
Yeah, you're always going to start up against the shaft, that
Okay.
each time you, and that was something I guess that was hard for, this is how I do it, hard for me to see with people. Every time you turn and start, I always bring the yarn up against the shaft and start exactly the way I did the previous round, and then just start kind of winding them around next to their neighbor as flat as I can do.
With
And
that strand that you just made.
With that strand, and I'm going across the previous one, so it's padded under there, but you can still wind your this single it layer by layer next to each other and progress. Each round you're going to get out further.
Okay, so I'm going to make an observation here. So when I spin, I want to make yarn. I want to end up with some yarn, and I want to end up with yarn fast. So I always go on the wheel, and I've always been perplexed by people that love this method, but I'm getting, just from going through this with you, I'm getting the idea that it's the zen of the wrapping. It's like this peaceful, getting that feeling, like, and you're not actually driving towards getting yarn. You're kind of like set in on this, just this process and enjoying the wool, right? I mean,
yes, and as you get better, you can actually build up the wool ball pretty quickly. Let me see if I've got enough, because see, right now, if you watch me a little bit, I'm just doing that. And then you get back around, you get used to it very quickly. You get used to it, and you'll get into a rhythm where you do that, you flick that leader back on there, and then you set this and you just start going. So I don't know, can you see what I'm doing? That's not taking me that long. I'm going to have to put some, I'm going to have to join my fiber. So you get to the point where you can actually get some yarn going, but it does take a little bit. So be patient. Okay, I'm gonna like smush my little fluff to fluff, and this is something that I have trouble with still. But your yarn's a lot easier. So I'm just gonna kind of, I'm gonna do my thing and see how.
I want to make another comment, and that is that I never drop spindle with my arms way up like this. I'm just doing this so that you can see it on the video. Normally when I'm drop spindling, I'm like this.
Yeah,
with
so
my shoulders, really bad posture, obviously.
Well, you do want to watch out too that you're not just like stiff and sitting here like this forever. I get up and move around sometimes. I don't always do it like this. Sometimes I'll stand up. So I don't know. So I'm just drafting. I'm drafting. That Spinning Sarah has got a really nice video on doing consistent drafting if people are having trouble with it. I was. So anyway, okay, so I've drafted, and you want to watch me for a sec? So I've drafted, and then you'll get to the point.
Gosh,
you'll get to the point where you just do that, and then you wrap it on, and it's going, because you're, where you get a feel for it. It gets in your hands. It's a muscle memory thing, and then you pop this back on, and you go. So see, when you get used to it, there's the zen of it. But there's also, you can make yarn. Not as fast as somebody on a spindle. And also there's a little more of a learning curve as how to be consistent, because you can't just set stuff like you can on a wheel.
Okay, so do I have enough on here that we could try pulling the sticks out?
Yeah. Let me get mine. Let me go through the rest of my fiber here just for the heck of it.
Alrighty.
Because I was actually practicing that earlier today with just like a little bit, and you can see what it's going to do. All right, this is long enough. So let me get this wound up.
It's so clumsy.
Yeah, I would say.
And I'm not giving myself enough leader for my half or whatever.
You want to have I always try to end up getting it really short. But you want enough, I'd say at least a few inches, that you actually can build up some twist. So I would say like this length would probably be good, because I can put the half hitch on there, and I've still got this. So I've still got enough fiber to get some nice twist in it. So let me do a little bit more fluff, and then we can do the removal.
catching myself mouth breathing while I'm doing
Yeah.
it.
And, it's just like doing anything else. At first, it's like, especially if you're used to doing something like the wheel and you don't do this. I'm sure if I did wheel spinning, I would be like, oh. But this becomes, if you just practice even a little bit every day, it's like everything else. It gets easier. So let me wrap this on. And also, when you're wrapping, I'm wrapping so that it's it's snug. It's not loose, flopping around, but I'm also not pulling really tight.
Yep, I gotcha.
Okay, all right. Now I've got a tiny little ball, and when you get ready, when you get let's go ahead and let you wrap.
Okay.
And then we'll remove the stick.
All right. So I got a question for you. So, how long have you been spinning? And did you just say that you don't spin on a wheel?
I have never spun on a wheel.
Oh my gosh.
No, I grew up, my mother taught me to do embroidery, crewel embroidery when I was 8. And so I've done handwork like my entire life. I learned to crochet. I taught myself to knit. That took me at least a year. I've done tatting, some lace making. I've done quilting. I sew. And one day I just decided I wanted to learn to spin. And I went to a local shop in St. Louis where I was living and sat with a lady for about an hour.
What was that?
Mid 2000s, maybe around 2010. But I did it, but I didn't really do anything with it. Right. So when you want to, go ahead and wrap that. Take your half hitch off, because when we take the stick out, you're not going to have that attached. Now go ahead and wrap until you get to your fluff. And you can separate your fluff. That'd probably be more like what you were going to actually do. Okay.
So did you spin on a wheel at that place?
No, she gave me a drop spindle, and she's like, here we go. So I did it for about an hour, and then I kind of just messed around with it until 2016. I tried it again a little bit, but didn't do much with it. And I think just during the pandemic, I just decided I wanted something to add to my knitting. And so I thought, I'm going to pull it out again and do it. Had the top whorl spindle. Like I said, didn't really like it. Maybe it's just the spindle. And so I tried this. Now, just to say this before we pull this out, one reason I like the Turkish spindle is that the center of gravity is low. Abby Frankemont, I don't know if you know who she is. Okay,
I've seen her stuff. Yeah.
Okay, her book, Respect the Spindle, I'm pretty sure she says this is basically a low whorl spindle. It's a type of low whorl spindle. So I thought that was interesting, but it's more comfortable for me to have the weight down, whereas with the top whorl, the weight's up here, and you're wrapping down here, and that just always, I was never comfortable. I never got a good wrap. It was really hard to build a good cop that was balanced. And then of course you got the yarn that you wrap, like when you're wrapping on a spindle, that's called the cop. That's the yarn that you're then going to take off and have to wrap into a ball. So that's an extra step. This is the cop on a Turkish spindle is called a turtle. I don't know why. It just kind of looks like a turtle. Okay, so here we are. We've got our yarn wrapped on here, and now we need to take it off. So I kind of
starting to, because I know I'm not going to be able to get it off.
Well, again, it's just sort of like I would recommend if somebody could get like fiber that was decent enough to spin with, but wasn't like something that you were completely married to. Yeah, that's a good way. I'm sure there are. I started with Corriedale. I mean, you don't want something that's really short stapled,
right?
But so that way you can feel like you can practice. That's why I'm practicing with what I call the nasty Shetland. This, I swear to God, and for anybody else, and you told me this when I started talking to you, this is lamb's wool. This is the first shearing, and was sold to me as soft, and it's not, especially once you get into yours. So if you've had a bad experience with Shetland, try it again. Try it with somebody like you, because it's a big difference. Okay, so here we have our little ball.
Yep.
And so what I do, it's like, okay, I'm just resting this between my fingers, and I've got it between my first and second finger, and I've got my thumb under here, and I'm kind of just gently holding it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not squeezing, but I'm holding it. It's secure. Mm-hmm. So then I'm going to take my stick, And it's snugged up here, remember? So what I do is I just gently unsnug it so that it can slide free.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going
I
to
have to take the, because I had that little bump there. I gotta kind of work my yarn around it. So maybe next time I wrap, I make sure that it's around the little lip.
Yeah, your design is one that I've not seen before, and that may be what's bothering you, or what, you know, you may need to.
It's gonna work.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So you take.
Look at that. I've never been able to do that.
Yeah. So you just want to take it all the way out.
Ba, 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 ba.
Yay! And then.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy. Okay, go on.
And then, so we got the skinny arm. And again, I'm still kind of just holding on to this, so nobody's going anywhere.
Mine are both the same.
Are they the same? Are they the same width? Because mine has got one that's thicker, and then one arm. They are, and then one arm. For me, for my spindles, the smaller, skinnier arm slips into the bigger arm. So I'm going to take that one, and I'm going to pull it and watch what happens. I'm going to wiggle it. I'm pulling the stick. I'm pulling the skin. I'm pulling the skinny one out because this is the one that's. Let me pull this one apart and show you. Go the other way, Karen. Okay, so you see how the one is sliding through the other? I take this one out because I can't take the other one out.
Okay. All right.
Because
gotcha.
yeah. So sometimes if you maybe push it a little bit, if it's like got a big ball around it and it doesn't want to come out, if you just kind of go up here and give it a little, So watch. Did you get a little sticky outy thread? That's going to be your center pull. So I'm going to do mine so they can see.
Oh my gosh!
So here okay. So you can start to see that little thing that we stuck up in the middle, and this is pulling it out, and there you go. Yeah, and so then you can take the big one out. And I don't know, hang on a second.
Look at me, look at me.
All right, hang on just a second. The one that we pulled out first is actually going to end up being the outside wrap. The one that we just pulled out, you can hold it and see that it's going into the center. So this is your center pull, and this is your outside pull. So see, you've got your double pull ball.
Look, and that's where I tied the knot.
Yeah.
So this is the center, you said, and this is my...
Yeah, you can see one is actually coming out from the center of the ball.
Oops.
Or the center of the little whatever we have. It's wrapped around. It's got the got the fiber wrapped around it. And then the other one, I was wrong. The first one you pull out, I guess, is the outside wrap, because see, it's wrapped around the outside. And the next one you pull out is going to be the center pull ball. So that's what you end up with. Here's that center. I'm pulling it out, and then let me find the outside one, and then here's my outside. So and when you wrap the ball, you get something that's firm, it's got structure, it's not going to collapse. And what I found when I was doing the typical over 2 under 1 God's eye thing is it's really cool, but it's slow to wrap it. It's fiddly to wrap it. Yeah, and also when I would take the arms out, I would end up with something that was kind of mushy and not very stable, and it was hard to, pull from. So when I found this round method, I thought, at first I was like, I'm not going to do it because it's not traditional, right? And then I was like, okay, I'm going to try it because it looks like it's faster, and it looks like it works better. And so this is what I do now.
All right, I have 2 questions. I have 2 more questions. So the first question is, when you're plying, what you're saying is you can ply from both ends of that ball, but do you ever ply 2 separate balls?
I do.
How do you keep them from flying all over when you're plying?
That is, I'm still working on that to figure out what the best method is. Your containers that you use for your when you're sorting your locks. The styrofoam with the so that might work because it would give you enough space for the ball to be down so that it's not going to be rolling around, but you'd still have them clear to where you can be pulling. Now, the beauty of doing this is that you inevitably don't end up with the same length of fiber. One rolls, one end's quicker. So if you get to the end of one, you can take the second end of that other ball and then join them together, like, and keep doing it, and you end up with, you get to the bottom there and it'll be like a little loop. And there you go.
What would happen if you stuck a knitting needle in the center and then used that to mount it into your lazy Kate? Well, not everybody's got a lazy Kate like that. It probably wouldn't spin nicely.
Yeah, it might not. It might not. That would definitely be something that you can experience, or, sort of experiment with. Yeah.
Okay. My second question is, have you ever knit with your hand spun?
So this is a merino blend. And it's not even, it kind of is the thicky thinny stuff, but it doesn't matter because it's just real simple stitching and it kind of gives it that rustic kind of look.
I love it.
So I did that. And then also what I'm working on right now is some stuff that I did with your yarn. And these are called lambing mitts. So they're going to go up and they're going to be longer with a cuff that folds down, but that you can also fold up. So yeah, so this is my self-striping. I'm striping it myself, and so here, here's the beginning.
Doesn't it feel like it's hugging your hand, that wool, how it's so...
Yeah, and it's just, and you really almost can't feel it. Other wools, sometimes it may be soft, but you can still feel it. This just it feels like it's an very part of your body.
Yeah. So awesome.
Yeah, and it's got that nice kind of stretchy stuff. So anyway, you just did great. I'm just really excited.
I'm just gonna tell you right now, I'm so grateful to you. That was such a breakthrough. I mean, this is a spinning breakthrough day for me. Thank you so much. And hopefully, other people are going to benefit from the information that you shared and the techniques and stuff. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm glad it worked out. That's made my day.
Good. Awesome.